Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We have a very busy morning for you. Last night was Charity's Men Tell All episode. We have the recap up for that. And then also coming up after this video, we have Caitlin Bristow and Jason Tartick both discussing their breakup with more depth and clarity than their previous episodes. And we're going to have those videos for you coming up shortly. So make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. Stand-up show updates, Huntington Beach this Thursday. Next Thursday, we've got Seattle, so make sure to jump on the link below for tickets to those shows, and also every afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the podcast. All right, so fans are pissed about Arie. And, of course, we shared 2 years ago Arie's new vacation home. He bought a home in Hawaii so he could spend time there with his wife and kids. And, of course, he also received a PPP loan money of $20,000, which isn't a lot of money, but in our Bachelor world, we cover Bachelor content. We've covered this ad nauseum for years. Well, now he's got, I don't want to call it a grift. I want to give him as much credit as possible here, but he is angering people because in this video I'm about to share with you, he actually asks his audience to donate to his wife's Venmo and says, we're going to buy stuff for people. I'm sure he is. I'm sure he's going to spend more money than he receives. I'm sure he's going to be donating to the victims of the wildfire from this past week in Maui. But at the same time, I think he's done more damage than good. We're going to play some of your comments, listen to what he has to say. And it started here. I received this DM from one of our audience members. I was already preparing to make the video, but just to hear from somebody in Hawaii, this is what they have to say. I didn't know who else to message. I'm attaching a link to stories posted by Arie. A couple years ago, he bought a vacation house. He also has a beautiful house in Arizona. In his stories, he said he was going to fly to Maui on Friday to help out, which is all BS. He posted a Maui donation link, and instead of it being connected to a charity, it went to Lauren's Venmo, his wife. He said he'll use the money to buy supplies to give out. This couple is very sketchy. And soon after, he received a PPP loan for being an influencer. They bought the home in Haiku. Their house is completely fine. They are using the Maui tragedy to collect their own money. On top of that, in his stories, he lied and said everything is disorganized and people need help, so they were flying in so they can help, acting like white saviors. Please look at all his stories beginning from this one. Okay, let's go to his stories, have a listen, and then we will discuss.
We haven't spoken much about the Maui situation, quite honestly, because we don't have the words. I've been trying to think about how I can deliver this message to all of you and how it just breaks our heart to see the community and a place where we've had so many amazing memories turn to ash. It's unreal. So our house is in the Kula area, which is upcountry, which was affected by the fires. Luckily, our house did not sustain any damage, and we're very thankful for that. But we want to help our community, and we are flying there on Friday.
So in order to help the community, let's house some of the displaced folks who lost their homes. Let's use your home, your second home, your vacation home, the home that sits dormant, the home that's caused the locals to be driven out of their own island state. Let's help them by housing them in your home.
Volunteer at the War Memorial, which is where a lot of families that have been displaced are staying. We'd ask for your help too. There's a lot of people that are in need, and we feel like not enough is being done. After talking to our friends and the community, it just seems like there's a huge disconnect and the help is not there that is needed. I don't understand it. Honestly, we have one of the most powerful and biggest governments in the world. Like, why is there not more help for the island of Maui? So we are going to help. We are flying there on Friday. We're going to ask for you guys to donate to Lauren's Venmo fund. We're going to spend that money and more to the people in need. I know there's a lag. When it comes to natural disasters, but there's families right now living at the War Memorial, living in tents that need our help. And we are going to go there and do the best we can. And we hope that you can join us in that effort.
So he doesn't even take the time to adjust his closed captioning. It's spelled Lawrence, not Lauren's. And of course, it's so when you click on the link here, he gives an update. Long day for many volunteers. Still no support from government agencies to aid victims and families on the west side of Maui. Will someone from the county or the state come and visit the donation hubs to speak to the people? Again, he then has a more detailed list of what people need. All right, so just send spam to Hawaii. Now, I'm not a pessimist who says, oh, nothing can be done. Plenty can be done, and plenty of reputable organizations for disaster relief are working 24/7 to make this nightmare situation at least a little bit better. There will always be issues when it comes to relief, emergency relief. Katrina, there will always be issues. Remember what Kanye said, that he was like, George Bush doesn't like black people, or whatever he said. Like, there will always be moments of uprising when people feel like they're not getting the attention that they need from the government. Absolutely. But like, we don't need a tearjerker like this, which is a beautiful and yet tragic drone shot here. I don't say beautiful in a wonderful way, but just to see the wrath of the world and how quickly it could sweep over with hurricane-like winds. I mean, it's just a tragedy. We don't need to go into depth on how tragic it is, because we've been talking about this a lot already. But he said, if you don't live on island, the best way to help is donations. Here is an incredible list of the families who lost their homes and their personal GoFundMe pages that will help them directly. So now he's showing the GoFundMe pages you could donate to, which are not his. So that's very nice that there's a list going around with GoFundMe pages. I don't know who created this. My guess is it's not Arie. But either way, that was his last post. The one before that, when it says help, it doesn't say Lauren's Venmo. It says help. You click on the link, and it went to Lauren's Venmo. So this has angered a lot of people. I mean, I'll read a few comments from people. Absolutely. Do not give your hard-earned money to these fools. Please consider the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement or the Maui Food Bank, both doing real local good on island. So he is attempting to divert funds for legitimate charities to his own personal Venmo for what will be at best inefficient aid for a tax write-off. Stand-up guy. They're as bad as the Duggars. Do not Venmo Arie and Lauren directly. Even if they do send all the money to a legit charity, they can write it off as their own tax write-off in a lump sum. As for visiting, they want to check on their house, but by delivering aid with them, they may also be able to write the cost of flights off as a tax. So I don't care what they write off, but it is true. It is a good point that by trying to get it back into Maui, some people are saying, look, it's just them trying to check up on their vacation home. They probably spent a lot of money on their vacation home, and the only way to get in, and maybe that's a sinister look, maybe they are trying to help people, but it's just really oblivious to, like, look, I would never ask people to send me personal Venmo donations. I would never want people to think, I mean, look, people can send me Venmo donations if they want to send me Venmo donations. Like, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, I'm not asking for that. I'm just saying I won't be caught saying, oh, I've never said don't send me Venmo donations. But I would never say send me Venmo donations for a charity I'm running. That just reeks of a lack of transparency and all that. So everyone's saying don't travel to Maui. Let the first responders be there. Let all the people that are actually, set boots on ground being there. What Arie's doing, it's like he's checking up on his own home, the home that just probably remains dormant most of the year. Best case scenario, he uses it as an Airbnb, which is also horrible because the people of Maui, that raises everyone else's prices up. We've already come in there and like flipped over their government and made a Western world out of and whitewashed what was a brilliantly isolated lifestyle, the Hawaiian culture, which still exists, but now it exists with an American sort of like blanket over it. So either way, really wild. And this comes on the news. I mean, this when the commenter told me white savior complex, this is like when white people go to different countries and in tribes in Africa and take photos with someone and be like, see, we're helping them out. It's just reeks of this like, oh, I'm this imperialistic, I'm helping you. I mean, it's like Arie's not helping. If Arie wants to help, sell your vacation home and you know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh. And of course, this comes on the heels of this story yesterday. Blindside subject Michael Oher alleges the Tuohys, am I pronouncing that right, made millions off his lie. Remember the movie The Blind Side? It was one of the biggest movies ever. Retired NFL star Michael Oher was supposedly whose supposed adoption out of grinding poverty by a wealthy white family was immortalized in the 2009 movie The Blind Side, petitioned a Tennessee court Monday with allegations that a central element of the story was a lie concocted by the family to enrich itself at his expense. So apparently the whole movie, which is and I don't blame Sandra Bullock. She was an actress. She didn't write the movie. But the whole movie is her being like this tough as nails mom, Karen, who can go into black neighborhoods that are, riddled with violence and drug dealers and these scary neighborhoods. Again, this isn't my portrayal. This is the movie's. And she comes in and saves this young man and turns him into a star. When in fact, what they were really doing was trying to help out their own booster program. It was riddled with corruption, and it was a real weird story that was turned into this, we saved him, and that's just not what happened. Well, after he retires from football, he looks into it and realizes he wasn't adopted. It was a conservatorship. So again, this is a wild story. The film earned $300 million. The parents of Michael, not the parents, but the ones that quote unquote adopted him, got something like $50 million in royalties, and here he is, and he didn't receive much. So it's going to be a lawsuit we cover for a little while here. And how does that relate to this all? I mean, it's just another example of, in some cases, white people, namely in this case Arie, doing what he thinks is a good deed when in fact it's like nobody's asking for this. New vacay home in Hawaii, $20,000 PPP loan, and he's complaining about the government, which I understand. I mean, there's almost no response fast enough to help the devastation that's going on out there. I completely understand. It was a wild a fire, the worst in 100 years. The death toll's almost at 100. There's hundreds that are missing. It's an absolute tragedy. We have members of our community that have donations going on. If you go to my Linktree, linktree.com/Dave Neal, it's in my bio. The first link in my Linktree in my bio, as I'm loading it up here, let me go this way, is a link to one of the communities that's raising money. I don't know why it's not loading, but there'll be a link in the comment section to check that out. And the rhetoric that, the government's failing the people, it's like there's certain people that'll just believe and again, it's not exactly wrong. Like, where are the Navy ships that can house people, and where, like, there's a Navy base 40 miles away, a base 40 miles away in Hawaii. Where are all the resources? They're arriving, and there is a lag, and we're going to stay on top of it. And if there's any sort of stories where there's misuse of funding for it, we absolutely want to cover it. I just don't think an adult with a working brain would ever think that asking for Venmo donations is a smart idea. People can find ways to donate to charities that actually know what they're doing. And of course, I don't even need to relitigate this case, but every resort and vacation home that pops up on the islands, more and more native Pacific Islanders are being pushed into homeless camps that litter the island. There's a bad homeless problem in Hawaii, but even worse, we look at the winner of this year's American Idol, Iam Tongi, had to move to, I believe, Seattle because he couldn't afford to live in his own island nation, his own island of Hawaii. It's just a real tragic thing. So here's the relief. I've got a Maui Relief Fund right here. It goes to a church that's housing homeless. Of course, there's plenty of others you can donate to. Please, do your research with where you donate your money and awareness. And also just remember, I'm sure some people will donate to him, and I'm not here to stop anybody, but the grift is amazing. And these are the types of people, Arie, who thinks that the government's taking all of your money and this and that. People don't need handouts, when in fact, it's okay for him, right? So, hey, maybe just donate the $20,000 PPP loan money. And of all the people in the Bachelor Nation that took PPP loan money, Tayshia, Colton Underwood's charity, which, by the way, Colton Underwood said, hey, my charity took the money. That's clean off, and for all the things we can rail against Colton Underwood, he's got a point. Like, the charity took the money, but whereas Tayshia used the money to buy an assistant, and it's just like, that's not what the money was meant for. And of course, Arie got the money because he had an LLC, because he's an influencer, and probably didn't think that people would be able to track it back to him. But either way, no proof that money's been repaid. And, maybe it goes to the rising price of avocados that he has to deal with. That's why fans are pissed, if anyone was wondering. It's not just that he's asking for donations and, hey, no one wants me to help. It's like, just get out of the way and let the first responders, the actual heroes, the heroic people that live in the conditions that were affected, let them worry about it. And you just keep, your second home landscaped properly. All right, we'll be back with more content right after this.